for the council. I'm staff for the Council on Homelessness. I will be doing a lot of the facilitation today just because we don't have an official chair yet, but hopefully by the end of the meeting, we will actually have that problem solved. You are here at the Council on Homelessness meeting. And Mark, can you, or Tanya, are you doing slides? I forget who's doing slides. Next slide, please.
Yes, Tanya's doing the slides.
Okay, awesome. So again, this meeting is really sort of the Council on Homelessness is the planning body for our homeless continuum of care. And this meeting usually involves some pretty high level discussion. And my role is usually the community engagement specialist. So if you have questions that are coming up in this meeting, you feel over your head, you don't really understand a lot of what's being discussed, by all means, reach out to me personally, and I am happy to do some tutorials for folks to get you up to speed. Let's do, oh, sorry, we don't want to move to the next slide. We're going to do introductions with the Council on Homelessness members, and I am going to do a roll call. This will also serve as our sort of official roll call of who is here. So when I say your name, if you could just introduce yourself and say what seat you sit in, that would be great. Iman Novin. And I know we have a few folks that are coming a little bit later today, so we'll see. Iman, are you here? It's like the seance. Are you here yet? Margaret Schultz.
I'm Dr. Margaret Schultz. I'm a psychologist and program manager for the Full Service Partnership Program and our outpatient for the Hume Center in Richmond. And I have the behavioral health chair. Thanks.
Thank you. Terry.
Hi, I'm Terry House. I'm occupy the city government seat. I administer federal funds for the city of Antioch, and I am also a formerly homeless person.
Great. And for new members, if you can't remember the name of your seat, I'll help you. Leslie Gleason.
Hello, everybody. I'm Leslie Gleason. I'm with Trinity Center, and I hold the Continuum of Care Emergency Solutions Grant Representative seat.
Great. Kiva.
Hi, I'm Kiva Dean, and I hold the individual citizen seat.
Great. Yep, you're in the community representative seat. Perfect. Joe is going to be late. So Joe Bruno is in our consumer seat. We use the language consumer to mean person with lived experience. Alejandra Chamberlain.
Hi, everyone. I apologize for the raspy voice. Alejandra Chamberlain with the Contra Costa County Office of Education, and I hold the vocation and education seat.
You got the crud again. I'm sorry. Gabriel Lemus.
Hello, everyone. I'm Gabriel Lemus. I'm a principal planner at the Department of Conservation and Development, and I administer the Emergency Solutions Grant Program for the county, and I sit on the Emergency Solutions Grant Program seat.
Great. Angela Bullock Hayes.
Hi, I'm Angela Bullock Hayes. I am representing Contra Costa County Employment and Human Services seat.
Great. Wayne Earl.
Hello, my name is Wayne Earl. I am the Faith Community Representative.
Great. Lene Altman. Or Young. I don't know.
Altman's
right.
Okay. Altman's right.
I can never remember which one is the new one.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Thank you, Jamie. Hi, everybody. I work with our Contra Costa County Public Health Department and sit on the healthcare representative seat.
Great. Deanne Perrin.
Good afternoon, Deanne Perrin. I am with Hope Solutions, and I serve in a homeless service provider seat.
Great. Let me see who's after Deanne. Tony. Yusuf Ferry. I think Tony's not going to make it to this meeting, but I'll double check my notes after. Let's see, Sean Ray.
Everybody, Sean Ray, Lieutenant with the San Pablo Police Department, and I hold the Public Safety Representative #2 seat.
Great. Oh, Iman, I see that you arrived. Iman, do you want to introduce yourself?
Yes. Hi, everybody. Iman Novin with Novin Development, and I hold the Affordable Housing Developer seat.
Great. Chief Manjit Sapal, I think he said he wasn't going to make it, but just double checking. Okay. Pat Mims.
Hi, everyone. I'm Pat Mims. I'm with Rubicon Programs and the Reentry Success Center. I hold the Reentry Services seat.
Great. I think Masaki Hirayama, she's been temporarily redeployed, and so I don't know if she was able to make it today. Masaki? Okay, Maureen Delson? Oh, I can't hear you. You're muted. Well, you look like you're unmuted, but I can't hear you. Okay, well, Maureen's working that out. She is in the workforce development seat. And Juno Hedrick is our youth representative, and they will also be a bit late, but they will be here later. And I just wanted to take a moment. Oh, there you are, Maureen, I can hear you.
Can you hear me? Okay.
Yep.
Maureen Nelson with Workforce Development Board. I hold the workforce seat.
Awesome, glad to have you here. So I just wanted to take a moment. This is an auspicious day. This is our first official meeting with some of our new members. So we have some brand new folks. So just a shout out to Kiva and Angela and Wayne and Pat. Welcome to the forum. This is your first official meeting. I just want to note, so Kiva, we are still going through like the official bureaucratic channels to get your seat officially stamped. So what that means is we just won't be able to count your official votes for anything today, but I have messages in to try and figure out how we can get that cooking. It's just the Family and Human Services Committee of the Board of Supervisors needs to meet, and they haven't scheduled their first meeting yet. So it's coming, has nothing to do with you. You're great. For other folks, feel free to introduce yourselves in the chat, and we will keep moving because we have a bunch to get through today. Next slide, please. Great. So this is a moment, because this is an official public meeting, we just always hold space for public comment on anything that is not officially on the agenda. So if there's something you want to talk about that's on the agenda, we'll make some space for that once we get there. Anything that is not officially on the agenda that you want to publicly say or ask about. We won't be able to give answers. The council won't be able to answer anything, but this is just public space. You can unmute yourself. You can do a little artificial hand. You can type something in the chat. Okay, I see none. Home base, do you see any?
Nothing in the chat.
Okay, let's keep going. Minutes, this is just an official check. So the minutes were sent out to council members and it was also posted. Are there any edits that people want to make to the minutes, or can we approve them? And this is just for council members to vote on. Okay, I don't see any edits, so let's do a roll call vote. Let's do the next slide because I think it has our little formal process. Great. So we need somebody to make an official motion to approve the minutes. Is there anybody that would like to make that motion?
I move that we approve the minutes from the December, the last meeting.
Yes, whenever the heck that was. Okay, Deanne makes a motion. Any second?
I'll second it. Leslie will second it.
Great. Any discussion? All right, I'm gonna roll call. Yay, nay, abstain are your choices. Iman Novin. Oops, he was here. Iman, if you're talking, we can't hear you. Okay, we'll come back to Iman. Margaret?
Yay.
Terry?
Yay.
Leslie?
Yay.
Joe's not here yet, I don't think. Alejandra?
Yay.
Gabriel?
Yay.
Angela?
Yay.
Wayne?
Yay.
Lene?
Yay.
Deanne?
Aye.
Tony? I don't know if you're here. Okay, no Tony yet. Sean?
Aye.
Great. Chiefsa Paul? Just checking. Pat Mims?
Yay.
Masaki, I don't think is here. Maureen?
Aye.
And Juno, I don't think is here yet. Okay, motion passes. Next items. Oh, Iman is a yes. Great, thank you. Yes, if we can't hear you, you can put it in the chat. Juno is going to be late to the meeting, so we will try and come back to that or see if they can put their update in the chat. With that, we'll go to Jamie Klinger. So if you, Tanya, if you can move to Jamie. I'm sorry, move to her slides.
Thanks, everybody. Jamie Klinger here, Research and Evaluation Manager with H3. Just have a quick report out with some updates about the point in time count. You might also hear this as the PIT count. We love our acronyms in this community and across the nation, frankly. Go ahead and move to the next slide. All right, so hopefully this isn't new news. We've been sending out a lot of communications. But essentially the Omicron virus is surging in our community. Everybody's quite aware of what's going on in terms of the significant increase in positive cases and hospitalizations in Contra Costa County. We're very mindful of how this is impacting both our staff capacity, potential volunteers for this effort and activity, as well as people experiencing homelessness across our community. So what we have done within H3 is that we requested for an extension formally through the Housing, Urban and Development, also known as HUD. And on the 10th of January, we received approval for an extension. So typically the point in time count, both the sheltered and the unsheltered count happens in the last 10 days of January. We requested an extension for the last 10 days of February, just to give us some time for this virus to move through. Again, hoping that those extra 4 weeks will show a decrease and that we have the staff and the volunteers for a successful full canvas across our entire community. So there's some new dates that are up here on the slides. The sheltered count takes place on the night of February 23rd, meaning that the following morning, still considered a part of that night, we're requesting support from the community, our partners, as well as potential board members. If you're interested too, we'd love to have your participation for the unsheltered enumeration. So this is where folks are going out between the hours of 5 and 10 a.m. There's some flexibility there depending on your availability and the canvas assignments that you will be covering to count people experiencing unsheltered homelessness. So it's super, super important that we get enough volunteers to make this a successful event. One of the primary objectives is that we're able to actually cover every single census tract across Contra Costa County. We work very closely with our core outreach teams to cover the areas that have known high density or a little off the beaten path, not accessible by roads, or have particular safety or high risk concerns. But in addition to those zones, we're also needing other people in our community to cover all of the rest of the census tracts. And there's quite a few census tracts in our community. For folks who don't know, Contra Costa County is the size of Rhode Island. So lots of different urban and rural areas that we're seeking support with. So the COC newsletter has been giving some information and some pings over the past couple of weeks, and we're going to continue to send those communications. So we hope you get very sick of these communications because you're going to see them frequently. But really, it's just a huge ask to the community, and we need to lean on you for support. So this is my pitch. Please sign up to register. This year, it's a tiny bit different because of things that are going on with COVID. So we are asking that you register with a partner already. So if you have somebody within your pod, within your work pod, social network, even within your family, that can go out, because we require teams of 2 for safety purposes. It's not safe to drive an area and use a mobile application to collect the data. So that's really important. When you register, think of somebody in mind, put their first name, last name, and potentially email address. If you don't quite know, you can still register using this link. It's on the slides, and Jamie dropped it in the chat as well. And we can reach out to you following your registration and gather a little bit more information and help find somebody for you. But again, we want you to stay within your pod. We're not trying to increase any exposure there on any level or increase any risk of exposure. So that's going to be really important. A couple other things that are mentioned here in the slide, but I just, again, think are helpful tidbits of information so you know what to expect, is that training is all going to be conducted virtually this year. Typically, we have done in-person options just for more one-on-one engagement about what to expect, what are the methods used for this count, and how to collect that data and use the mobile application. We're using the same mobile application that we've used in the past, so it's a a smartphone application called Survey 123, collects very minimum information through observation only. So whatever you're seeing, you enter that into this app, you drop a pin. So we have the GIS coordinates of where you saw whatever it was that you saw. And then that's it. That's your only task. And then you move on to the rest of your area. So the training is all happening virtually. We will email that out to you once you registered. And your Canvas assignments, so the number of areas or census tracts we're asking you to cover, that will also be identified in advance of the count. Previous years, we kind of gave that information on the morning of, but we're not having kickoff sites this year. Again, we're trying to reduce congregation. So you're allowed to determine wherever you want to deploy, whether that's at your home or your work or whatever, between you and your partner, you will deploy within these time periods. Back end, we're going to track to make sure that you are using the app and you're in the areas that we're asking you to be in. And then that's that. Also open to any questions if there's anything else in mind.
Jamie, there's a question in the chat from Terry. What happens if we already registered? Will we be automatically included for February, or do we need to re-register?
Good question, Terry. So you should have received an email to let you know that you're still on our list and that we're just postponing. No need to sign up again. And we'll push out some more email communications and reminders for that group. We had very low registration rates before this determination was made. It was one of the biggest reasons why we advocated for this adjustment and postponement. But folks can always reach out to our COC email if you have other questions and aren't feeling like you're getting information that you need. Thank you so much for dropping the email and the links in the chat, Jamie. Any other questions? Okay, thanks so much, everybody.
Fabulous. Next slide, please. All right, we have a whole bunch of good things for you. So Jenny and Lene, I'm going to turn this over to you guys.
Hey, good afternoon, everybody. Jenny Robbins, I'm Chief of Programs with Health, Housing, and Homeless Services. I'm here to provide some COVID updates. As we all know and have heard already on this call, things have changed very rapidly over the last few weeks with the Omicron surge, and it's hitting all of us in a major way. Many of us have been shifting our operations and our programs to support the surge that's impacting our shelters, our care centers, core, basically every last part of our system of care. And just I want to first and foremost just put out our heartfelt appreciation. It feels like Groundhog's Day. I don't think many of us thought we would be here again right now this time of year, but we're here. But we're okay. We have our heads above water, and hopefully that we are within the peak of our surge and are going to be seeing our cases start to decrease over the coming weeks. So fingers crossed that's the direction that we're going in. But we just have to kind of stay strong a little bit longer and keep all of our protocols in place and maintain safe programs. For our updates, due to our spike in cases, we actually have brought on an additional 20 rooms at one of our Project Room Key sites to open up capacity at our current PUI hotel. PUI is Persons Under Investigation, and that's at the Sure Stay Hotel in Richmond. To accommodate the serve, we were seeing our cases increase so rapidly that we very quickly worked to get additional rooms on deck. So we now have 52 rooms as opposed to the 32 rooms that we had previously had, and they are getting filled every day. Lene and her team are, working wonders and are on site every day and ensuring that when folks are ready to discharge, they're discharging, the rooms are getting cleaned, and then they're ready for new folks to come in. So just big shout out and kudos to all of our partners, our CBO partners and public health partners for, making this happen. We all really had to kind of shift very quickly. So that's our PY update. The other update, I think it went out in a recent newsletter. We've made some updates to our COVID guidance. The main changes to our guidance are really recommending, they're all recommendations, no requirements, but recommending that our providers are getting vaccine status on entry and recommending that folks are fully vaccinated, including their booster upon intake into program. Again, providers are welcome to make shifts to their policies and procedures. These are only recommendations, but definitely something to consider as we're, we maintain in the surge, and we'll be continuing to, live with COVID for here on out, or at least for the long term. The other update in the guidance is just some new links for CDC. for CDPH, California Department of Public Health. Thank you so much, Jamie. As well as a health order that went out when some of us were out on holiday at the end of December, requiring that homeless service providers are all fully vaccinated by January 10th. And if not boosted, then folks are getting tested weekly. So I think those are the high level updates from our guidance. Other than, I also wanted to plug, we have a monthly provider call. Shelby, our coordinated entry manager, facilitates a provider call. I think it's on the second Thursday of the month, and we always have a COVID update section on that call as well. So if any of your staff are interested in receiving, updates in a different venue, we're on that call as well. And Lene participates to help answer those questions in a different format. I think that's it that I have for our COVID updates, unless there are any questions from the group. I don't think I saw any in the chat. All right, thanks everybody.
Thanks, Jenny. I'm not seeing any in the chat or any hands raised. Okay, and I dropped a link in the chat with all of our documents and policies and procedures related to COVID and homeless services. Next slide, please. Great. So, when will the Pittsburgh Motel open up? Great question, Brandy. We're going to talk about that at the very end of the meeting. Good question. The short answer is there's not a final date, but we are getting close. But we're going to talk a little bit more at the end. I wanted to do a quick update around equity. And it's not quick because it's not important. It's quick because we're still getting more information. So I wanted to there's two pieces I wanted to update folks on. So Contra Costa participated in something called a Racial Equity Action Lab that was part of something put on by BARHI, which is the Bay Area Regional Health Inequities Initiative. This is why we live in acronym soup, because everything has super long names. So basically, we had a group of about 10 people that included people from homeless services, but also outside of homeless services. And I'll talk a little bit more about what came out of that, but we just had a reunion. So there were lots of other Bay Area communities that participated in this. And essentially the end goal of that, it ended about 6 months ago, and the end goal was to come up with some sort of like project or program. And what our cohort decided to do, and we reported back on this when we first finished, was essentially to focus on what we're calling right now consumer engagement. So how do we do a better job of incorporating the voices of people with lived experience and sharing power? So right about the time that we ended that project was sort of time limited, right about the time we ended that cohort, we were at the same time putting the gas on some technical assistance from an outside provider called C4 Innovations. And they were brought on to help do an assessment. Oh, sorry, one other thing. So the Racial Equity Action Lab at the reunion released a report based on the work that was done. So we're going to share that out. So just so you know that, and it talks a little bit about Contra Costa and what we said we were going to do. So that's that. There's that report that's been released. Around the same time, we began with some technical assistance to do an outside provider to do an assessment of our homeless continuum of care and really look at our system of care from a whole bunch of different perspectives and give us an equity assessment so that we could then figure out, as a system of care, what are we doing well, where do we need to make improvements, and start to think about some concrete plans for that. So we just got a very brief report out last Friday on the 14th, and I was finally able to get the slides and recording and have posted them, and we'll send a link. But we aren't doing a big hoopla yet because the official report hasn't gotten to us yet, so it should be coming next week. And so there's going to be a bunch more conversation about this. So I wanted to let folks know it's still coming. We have some pieces. We've gotten some very broad recommendations that we can start to look at, but there's going to be a lot more conversations we need to have as a continuum of care and Council on Homelessness about what we want to do with the results, what they are, what we want to do with them, and how we want to move this work forward. We also, as part of the work with C4 Innovations, they also generated a report for us about how we could do a better job building authentic partnerships with people with lived experience of homelessness. So again, we've been holding off on releasing these things until we have like context for them so we can release it all together and have some community conversations. So we will, between now and the next council meeting, which is February 3rd, we should get that final report and we will have a much more robust discussion at the February meeting once we've all had the report, had a chance to digest it and start to think. So I just wanted to give folks an update about that, about where we are and why maybe you haven't heard anything about the real work. And the real work kind of paused because we knew before we could sort of get rolling on that, we needed to know more from our equity assessment. And I keep saying it's like we have all these trains on different tracks and all the trains are finally starting to come onto the same track, but we're doing a lot of like switches to try and make sure things line up in the right order. Yes, so the question, can people not on the council get the report as well? Yes, we are going to do, so part of my role is to like blast information into the stratosphere to everyone. So I will definitely be sending out emails. We're looking at maybe having a public meeting to discuss this. So there will be a lot more information coming out. It will be coming out through primarily our Constant Contact account. So if you don't already get emails from the Homeless Continuum of Care via Constant Contact, definitely reach out to us. Thank you, Mark. REAL is the Racial Equity Action Lab. So more to come, but just an update on where we are. Are there questions related to this? And was there anybody that was at the report out on the 14th that feels like there's anything you want to share at this point? A lot of words from me. I will say it was only an hour long, the report out. It was a super lot of information in a short period of time and hard to digest all of that. So part of what we're going to try and do is really carve out some time and space to digest all of this, because there's a lot of great ideas and recommendations and thinking that needs to happen with all of this. So we do it right and don't just start moving without being thoughtful. At the same time, continuing to move and not getting stuck, because it's really easy to just go, oh, this is really complicated. I don't know. Let's just meet about meeting. We're not going to do that. Okay. I don't have anything to add on the equity piece. If anybody else has anything you want to say about this, now's a good time.
Okay, this is Maureen Nelson. So I did attend. I think my attention was a little pulled in different directions because it was on my 980, but I did have it on and I did catch some of it, and it was really good. A lot of information, and you can't really act until you have the information and know what's going on. So I thought it was a really good foundation. Everyone who attended was like just really interested in everything and asking questions, and yes, we have that, you know, and so it's a good foundation to take some action. It was good to have that.
Yeah, I was actually really impressed by the turnout. We had a lot of people that showed up and a lot of people that some weren't even directly connected with the homeless system of care, but are interested in this topic and what we're going to do.
Yes,
So
very engaged group.
Great. Anybody else? All right. Well, we will come back to this a lot. Next slide. I can't remember if I had anything else on a slide for this. Nope. I'm going to turn it over to Jenny. And if you go to the next slide, I think it has the information she'll need. Great.
Excellent. All right. Hello again, everybody. So some funding updates around our Calworks housing support program. These days, I really can't turn, and you know, there's more money that's coming down and having to figure out how to plan and work. And again, pivoting very quickly to operationalize. So today I'm here to talk about the Calworks housing support program. We have some exciting news to share that there's a possible expansion of funding to serve unhoused families and families who are at risk, who are currently receiving Calworks. This Calworks program, it was established by Senate Bill 855 many years ago, I think back in 2013, 2014, and it's intended to foster housing stability for families who are experiencing or at risk of homelessness, who are also in the Calworks program. So a quick review to get folks up to speed of what this actually means for us. Since 2014, H3 has partnered with Employment and Human Services Department as the grantee of these funding, and we are the sub-grantee. The dollars are coming from CDSS, the California Department of Social Services, and we're incredibly thankful for this collaboration. Over the years, many of these CDSS dollars have supported and expanded our system of care. So we're constantly braiding and leveraging dollars that are coming in, whether it's from HUD or from the state, wherever it's coming from, we're trying to align them. So we're all kind of working towards that common goal. Under our current HSP program, we have a core team that's funded to serve families, and we also have a rapid rehousing program that's through Hope Solutions. And together we are serving many households per year and helping place them into permanent housing. And all of our rapid rehousing referrals go through a coordinated entry system. And the HSP funding was originally to serve unhoused families currently experiencing homelessness, with a priority on serving chronically homeless families. And the big shift that we have been gotten news on is that there is more funding, and that funding is available to serve folks who are, or families who are at risk under prevention. And so we are eligible to receive an overall allocation of $5.5 million through 2024. Our previous award was around $3 million. So we have about 2.8 million to work with until 2024. So we're very excited about this news and are working with Employment and Human Services, EHSD, to look at what a possible expansion might look like, and are working on those plans as we speak. But we just want to put that out there to the community to, let folks know that this funding has come down, and it is intended to serve families who are on Calworks. And other than that, we're kind of in the planning phase, so we don't have many more updates, but that's the news. That's the news that we've got for now, unless there are any questions.
And I just want to add, thank you, Jenny. And I know there are a lot of, is there funding for homeless youth?
So this funding, any young person, if you're talking about transition age youth, if they are families and have children and are on Calworks, then they would be eligible. There are some dollars coming from the state that are targeted for transition age youth. Those came down last year, and they were one-time funds, and we're keeping our fingers crossed that those funds become more sustainable. But Calworks is general. So if there is a young person who has a family and are eligible, then they would be able to be served too.
And I wanted to note, at our next council meeting, we're going to do a deeper dive into some of the bajillion other funding pots that are coming. The state has, as you know, a lot coming. So we're gonna break some of that down so that folks have an understanding of what the pots of money are, who they're from, what the eligibility is, how it will get distributed, as much as we know right now. Another question that's in the chat was, would it be tied in with diversion programs?
So the eligibility for the state is specific to prevention, and they're pretty broad in what prevention can look like. So sometimes prevention and diversion are similar. So you can use diversion strategies for, under that prevention arm.
And Ade, just want to clarify, do you also mean like criminal justice diversion, or like diversion from homelessness?
Well, I guess I could mean both, but I was asking diversion from homelessness, specifically for those coming home from incarceration, so they don't experience recidivism.
Yes, that they would be eligible. The key factor is that folks have to be tied to Calworks so that they're open in that system. And if they're not, then the core teams support families who are not connected to Calworks and help them see if they are eligible for those benefits.
Leslie, I see you have a hand up.
Hi, yes. Can Jenny or someone say a little bit more about who's involved in what aspects of the planning, and to what extent, if any, the Council on Homelessness or any of the subcommittees might be involved in that going forward?
So the state didn't give us a whole lot of time to plan. The certification is due back, I believe, at the end of the week. And so to date, it's been H3 and EHSD as grantee who are talking through if we want, how much of these dollars that we want to utilize. we haven't allocated all of those dollars. So we're just eligible for those funds. At this point in time, they're not going through the COC. It's really through CDSS to EHSD. But happy to, take any additional questions or thoughts.
Just to translate, so CDSS is California Department of Social Services to our county Employment and Human Services Department.
Yes, that's correct. Yeah, California Department of Social Services, they're the funder of Project Room Key, the Housing Support Program, the Homeless Disability Advocacy Program. There's acronym soup. So happy to hear, Jamie, that we'll be diving into more details on the next call. That's my dog in the background in case you hear snoring.
I was gonna say, I can hear your dog
I keep
snoring.
laughing under my desk, like, come on now. You're gonna. He's attached to me. He's a COVID dog, so he's always on my feet. But that's what that is. I can see the chuckles. All right, I'm done.
Okay. Any other questions about this? Can Calworks HA provide payments for temporary shelter? This is a question from Geeta.
Yeah, the funding is pretty flexible, and that's kind of where we're at right now, is identifying how those expansion dollars are going to be, utilized. But yes, they're quite flexible. I know that, for example, during the last couple of years as we've been operating HSP in our shelters, prior, when they were decompressed. I know Hope Solutions was placing folks into hotels as a temporary or interim placement to work on, a long-term housing plan. And, now that our shelters are open again, we can utilize our shelters, but are, really looking at all options and finding a next stable destination when folks are unhoused, and working to get them into rapid rehousing.
Right. Any other questions on this one? Oh, Geeta, I see your hand up.
A little longer, so I decided just to say it. Hi, everybody. I have a quick question. Government has the money. Exist. You did with the hotel.
Geeta, your audio is breaking up a little bit.
Sorry, is this better? Am I breaking up still?
Nope, that's better. Thank you.
Okay. So the question is, why don't we just buy the property? Why are we renting? I mean, you have the dollar. Just like the hotel, you buy the property, right at people, put the people in the house. All you have to do is pay the mortgage. Since you have the money, you don't even have to pay the mortgage. The question is, why aren't you buy the properties? Thank you.
I would say somewhat cost prohibitive, through the funding that we're receiving. It's to support subsidy as well as services, and these dollars, they're time limited. So that hasn't been on the table as purchasing property, but there are other funds that are coming through the state, such as Home Key, and perhaps those are opportunities where you can pair funding. But at this point in time, HSP is not, isn't, and I'm not quite sure if that's an eligible expense is to acquire property. The rapid rehousing side is to provide those short-term subsidies as well as services.
And if I could also, add that I very much appreciate what we hear in the news about all the money that the governor and our local and state government are funneling dollars, especially for housing and homeless, into the communities. And it's barely scratching the surface. It's more money than most of us have ever seen in our entire career, who have been doing this work for a long time, and we know that it's not enough. So, for example, with Home Key, they only give us up to a certain amount per door, and that's usually not even half to cover purchasing a building. And so then that means our local cities and county have to figure out how to come up with that. And that is hard pressed when it can be 15, 18, $20 million in addition, and that's not covering operating costs. So we also want to be looking long-term of what it's going to take to sustain. So we can keep these facilities up and running efficiently and effectively for those who deserve it, which is our vulnerable populations that we're trying to get up off the street. So I do appreciate that it can very much feel like we have all this money and we are very much piecemealing everything we can together. And there is incredible restrictions on every dollar that's coming to us, incredible deadlines attached to those dollars. And more times than not, I'd say about 85–90% of the time, there's match required. And our county and our cities only have so much money. So frustrating. Trust me, I'm deeply frustrated while I'm trying to figure out how to keep all of these facilities up and running. But purchasing is not always in our ability to do.
Christy, can you just explain match really quickly to people that may not know what match means?
Yeah, so oftentimes, and you can see this with federal, state funding, they say, look, we'll come to the table and you can get up to $2 million, but you have to come with $1 million in match to show it's kind of like a good faith. Like, hey, are you willing to put your own money towards this project too? Or are you just trying to use the federal or state money? So it's a very typical way of doing business with public funding. For example, in Home Key, they are giving people the ability to say, I don't have match. Can I still apply? Yes, you can. But if you do come with match, we'll give you even more. You'll get bonus dollars. So it definitely works to our advantage to come with match. And, you know, Home Key is one of the first ones that I've actually seen that they've said, if you don't have it, we understand. Sometimes it just completely takes you out of the running if you're unable to provide or show match. So that's where that comes from.
And Gita, I see you have another question.
Thank you so much. Yes, I agree with you 100%. Okay. You don't have the ability to buy because you have a budget of $60 million and there's a lot of expenses. I agree with that 100%. I got it. But you, same time, be able to give Hope $20 million. And then we can take that $20 million to put a lot of people in the housing in Contra Costa straight by 200,000, 250. And being a government, you can make use other product like federal first-time home buyers, other product that we have, so we can put these people actually in the houses with that money. Why can't you do that? Thank you.
I'm sorry, Gita, I'm not understanding your question. I apologize. It's getting late in the day for me. Can you ask that again?
Sure. So why can't government take the fundings that they have given other programs? Why can't you go to the supervisor and say, supervisors, we want to purchase 20 houses to put 20 people in a houses with the family and children. The houses are in Antioch, Concord, all over the Contra Costa. We're going to put this 20 and we need X amount of dollars. Why do you think the supervisor would say no to that? Thank you.
Yeah, I'm not sure where they would find that money. I can't speak for our Board of Supervisors. But I know with our public funding, that is a situation that is not allowable under the current pots of money. But that is a great question that you're welcome to ask our Board of Supervisors. That's not something that I can answer for them.
Thank you so much.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks, Paul. And I really actually appreciate this conversation. This comes up all the time when I'm out in the community. So I'm really glad it's happening in this context. And what I'm hoping is coming through with this is, I mean, before I worked in homeless services, I had this thought all the time, like there's buildings. Why aren't we putting people in them? And the reality is the funding that comes through is often very restricted or not long-term, or it will pay for a building, but it won't pay for the ongoing services. And you can't just throw people in a building and walk away. So I actually think this is great too for the new council members who are maybe getting their feet wet with this. This is just like the tip of the iceberg about how complex some of this can be. And there may be ways that we're making things more complicated, but things actually are also complicated. So both things are true. But I really appreciate this conversation, and hopefully when we have some more information about funding next month, which actually is just a couple weeks away, when we hear about some of the state funding, we may learn about some uses that will be exciting to people also. Yeah, it's good questions, everybody. And also, and so Deanne says, the funding that we get in our county comes from many different sources. Yes, so many, I can't even tell you. And there are very strict restrictions on what the money can be spent on. It is frustrating and challenging to braid it all together, and we are continuing to make progress in our county. Yes. And then also in the chat, there's some information about affordable housing developers that actually are building, purchasing buildings and converting them to housing. So I see Allison Blakely is adding, also Eden Housing Project will be in a renovated county building, formerly County Health, so will also be owned. Great.
Yep, and Gita, I want you to check out the Richmond Our Power Coalition and check out the work that they're doing, because there's some information that might be of interest to you in land acquisition for homelessness.
Excellent. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ade. Mark, how are we doing on time?
We are good.
Okay,
so
great.
Carry on.
All right, let's go to the next slide. Oh, God, sorry, it's the Jamie show today. Just wanted to, if you can go to the next slide, that would be great. Just a really quick touch on the Q3 Council on Homelessness report that goes to the Board of Supervisors. I'm not going to spend a lot of time, but just wanted to flag that it was included in the packet and let folks know we're working on Q4. And I think Jamie Klinger and I and the red team are going to work on for Q4 doing sort of a recap of the year past. But in Q3 report, we just highlighted these things. And really what we do in these reports, there's a data section that comes from the red team. And then we just highlight the ongoing work that's going on. And then we do have a recommendations section. So for this month or this quarter, we really focused on the regional action plan goals. So that's just to like thread all these things together. So the regional action plan is part of work that we're doing with other counties. The Path Innovations Committee. Oh my God, Jamie, help me with the acronym, what it stands for. I can never remember.
The Plan for Accelerating Transformative Housing.
Thank you. The
You're
Path
welcome.
Committee, I'm impressed. That committee is really focusing on developing some very concrete nuts and bolts goals so that we can reduce our homelessness by, remind me what the goal is, Jamie?
75% over a 3-year period of time, 30% in the first year.
Thank you. So basically what we've said to the Board of Supervisors is make decisions in service of that goal. Were there any questions? I don't know if folks had a chance to look at it. If you have any questions, just wanted to carve out a little bit of space for that. Nothing earth-shattering or that you haven't heard before. Just wanted to flag that. Okay. And let's go to the next slide. Great. We've got the staff report from Mark.
Yeah, so thanks, Jamie.
Yeah.
This is a part of the agenda where we just call out the staff report, which was included in the meeting materials. We open it up for any questions or comments on anything in the staff report. Generally, what's in the staff report are updates about different initiatives and committees. And those updates generally aren't as urgent as some of the verbal updates that are given at the meeting. So that's why we throw it in the staff report. So any comments or questions about items in the staff report, feel free to raise your hand, put something in the chat, or come off mute.
And one thing I wanted to flag is that we don't have a lot of committee report outs in this staff report because we didn't have a lot of committees at the end of December, beginning of January. But there is some good update. There are some good updates in there about the PATH work, and that is really starting to take off. So there's going to be a lot more to report in the next next meeting. So Jamie Klinger and her team and our consultants that we're working with are really, really hustling to get that work off the ground. Deanne, yes.
Just a simple logistical note. I see that there is a meeting to get the performance-based contracting report back out on Tuesday, February 1st from 3 to 5. I don't think a calendar invite has gone out for that. So we'll want to get that on people's calendars.
Yes, thank you for that. I think we sent out a constant contact blast about it, but we can definitely send out a calendar invite to all the council members. Yeah, I will make a note to do that. Thank you. And I know we are still waiting for Joe and Juno who are planning to arrive. So before we get to the chair and vice chair conversation, I think we'll we might move some things around. Are there other questions about the staff report or upcoming meetings? Okay. Some meetings we are like scrambling for time, and some meetings we get through everything really quickly. We're having one of those, which is good. Mark, I do think we could talk about committees if we wanted to do that piece. Tanya, will you go to the next slide? I'm trying to remember what the next section is. Right. So let's skip the chair and vice chair. Thanks, Christy. Let's skip vice chair and chair for right now. And let's go to the committee piece. Sorry, which will also be me. Keep going, keep going. Okay. So there are two sets of decisions we're going to make, hopefully before the end of this meeting. So one we'll come back to, which is selecting a chair and a vice chair for the committee, for the council. But this is where we are also going to decide, hopefully people are going to decide what kind of committees they want to be on. And so we're asking all of the council members to select at least one committee. You don't have to pick one today because we have some that are active now and some that are coming a little bit later. But can you go to the next slide? So just wanted to orient council members, especially those of you that are new, that are like, wait, there's like, what is this thing that we're in? And then there's subcommittees, what's going on? So we have the County Board of Supervisors, and this group, the Council on Homelessness, is an advisory body to the Board of Supervisors. H3, so like me and Jenny and Christy and Jamie, we all work for H3, Health, Housing, and Homeless Services. We're staff to the council. We also are sort of like the official applicant for some of the federal money and some of the state funds. Under the Council on Homelessness, we have a couple of different committees, and the idea of the committees is really like, we can't get all of the work done in these like once a month, 2-hour meetings that need to happen, the council sort of scope of work. So we have created subcommittees where maybe they're meeting once a month or more often, doing some work and then reporting back here. So it's really a way to like spread the work out. Some of them are standing committees, which means like they just sort of exist all the time. They meet regularly, and some are ad hoc, which is basically as needed. So we may just need them, so like for those of you that just joined the committee, joined the council, there was an ad hoc committee that formed just when it was time to look for new members and reviewed all the applications. But that committee isn't meeting all the time. So go to the next slide, please. So what we wanted to show, and hopefully this isn't news for any of the council members, I think we've been blasting you with some information about this. But these are the committees, these 5 committees that are currently seeking members. And so what we have in the first column is what the committee name is. The second column is the description, and then we have the frequency. So you can kind of get a sense of like what you would be committing to. So the first one is the COC ESG, and this one is ad hoc, so it's not all the time. This is basically making decisions and thinking about as we apply for funds that are administered by the federal government, including the COC program. And basically we'll pull this together in advance of our big, what's called the HUD COC NOFA. This acronym soup is ridiculous that we swim in. So new members, the council agenda that was posted has a whole cheat sheet on the second page of the agenda for all of the alphabet soup. But I will also try and translate. So remind me if you don't know what the heck I'm talking about, raise your hand. And home base, I don't know if there's anything else you want to say about this committee to try and bring it down into plain English, or Leslie, any council members that want to translate this. Go ahead, Leslie.
So I just wanted to add for that committee, although it's an official committee of the Council on Homelessness, it's also the primary means whereby current providers or potential providers who may be interested in this funding can have a say in the process and can talk about the process and the scoring tools and how we get ready to do a competition locally that is effective and meets our entire community needs. So it's a committee, but I want to put it out there for anyone who's interested. As you see this meeting and you say, oh, committee, I can't be on that. Right. In fact, you can, as a representative of an organization that may be receiving or interested in receiving those funds down the road.
I really appreciate that, Leslie. And I so appreciate that, because as I'm framing this, I know there's a couple different audiences here in this group. So council members, I'm talking to you about which committee do you want to pick to be an official member on, because we want to have council representation. But all of these meetings are open to the public, and we encourage people to come and contribute and provide your thoughts and information. You don't have to be an official council member to contribute your thinking and your input. This is a public forum. There's a reason these meetings are publicly noticed, and the same goes for all the committees. Absolutely. The second one is around governance. So this is, for some people, this sounds really boring, and for some people, this is super juicy. It's basically revising the governance charter and the bylaws that the council is guided by. And this includes things like, how do we do voting? How many council seats do we have? And what kinds of seats do we have? Are there ways that are there requirements that we have for how things are how things are working for the council that are working? Are there new things that we need to add? So this is really a chance to retool sort of like the backbone of how the council does its business. And that will be coming soon. We've home base, bless them, has been gathering, and by the home way, for new folks, you might be wondering, I keep referring to home base, and you might be like, who is home base? Mark, do you want to do a really quick plug? I realize this might be a time to do that.
Sure. So I'm Mark Mora. I work for Home Base. I'm here with a couple colleagues who regularly support the meeting, and we're contracted by H3 to provide training and technical assistance, which we do in a number of continuums of care across the country. And in Contra Costa County, we staff along with H3 a number of the committees, and we support this monthly Council on Homelessness meeting. So if you don't know us, you will get to know us because we'll be in a lot of your meetings. So yeah.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I just realized you might not know who the heck they are, what we're talking about. So we're sort of behind the scenes helping a lot of this work get going. HMIS policy. So HMIS is Homeless Management Information System. That is really our database of like all the data that comes in from homeless service providers. There's a lot of rules and regulations about how that data gets gathered, what happens with it. So that committee is really focused on developing and updating policies around that, troubleshooting with providers about things that are, glitching either sort of in the system or in their processes. So that's meeting monthly. Oversight, which hasn't met in a little bit. So Oversight is sort of the big picture. There's a lot of stuff that the council sort of has maybe authority over or is needing to think about. But again, there's like not enough time in these meetings to do that. So there's a subgroup of people reviewing and looking at the development, implementation, and improvement of all the pieces of our system. So that's quarterly. And then path innovations, and as Jamie Klinger said earlier, that's very focused on working on the goal of reducing unsheltered homelessness in this county by 75% by 2024. So that group is meeting monthly. I just want to take a minute, and if there are any existing council members that have been on any of these committees, I know we did, I think at the orientation, we did I loved the sales pitches. That was probably my favorite part of the orientation. So hopefully you've gotten a little bit of a sense of those. So these are the ones we're recruiting for right now. But what I want to also flag, so if you go to the next slide, these are ones that are coming. And so what we're asking is for council members to participate in at least one committee. So there may be some of you that don't have capacity to sign up for one that's open now, but one of these later ones might look interesting to you. So I just want you to flag that. And I know Mark behind the scenes has been asking people kind of what you think you're interested in. Yes, Wayne, go ahead.
Just a quick question. I know we're going to make decisions on committees that we want to join today. However, is today the only opportunity to make those decisions? Could we decide, or somebody decide, hey, I'd like to be a part of this committee 8 months from now, 10 months from now, whatever?
Absolutely. Good question.
Thank you.
So this is not marriage. So you may join a committee and get in there and go I would like to annul this. This is not working for me. I might want to go to a different committee. That's fine. And you may decide you want to date another committee later. So that is fine. This is not set in stone, but we want to make sure that we at least have some anchor members for each of these, just so that we know we have a key body going forward. It's a really good question. Yay, Joan, Juno are here. And Tony, I saw Tony's here, and there was somebody else who was running in a little bit late too. So I am happy we've got most of our committee council members. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on these ones that we're recruiting for later, but I just want to flag in case that first set of 5 did not catch your eye and strike your fancy. And yes, so Terry is the COH nerd. I love it. She loves to be on committees, which endears her to me greatly. So you can also join more than one committee. And there is a lot of learning to do, right? So HMIS policy is a very different experience from being on the nominating committee, for example. You would learn a whole completely different set of information and skills being on that committee. Some of the ones that are coming up that we're not recruiting for yet, one's about funding. One is around Homeless Awareness Month. So that's mostly developing materials for Homeless Awareness Month. Nominating, I've described. Point in time count is our annual homeless count. So that'll be again, next December-ish. Policy, which is going to be on hold until Q3. And then performance system measures, again, we're not going to get to that till the end of the year. So most of these are not starting really until the end of next year. If you can go back one slide. Sorry, Tanya. There we go. These are the ones that we're really asking folks to think about and potentially throw your hat in the ring for this meeting. And Mark, you have a fancy tabulator, right?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
Shall I share that screen now?
I think so. Well, let me just pause here while we're looking at this. Are there any questions that any of you have about any of these committees before we sort of start to get to the decision making? Or have we just buried you in information about the committee? And community members, this is a time for you to start thinking too, if there's any of these that you want to attend. You're welcome to attend any of these. Okay, well, let's go to your fancy, Susie, what's it? That's a technical term. Okay, so Mark in his infinite wisdom, has created a document that helps us see who has indicated which committee they're interested in, and then like how many people that results in each committee. So we can see like maybe there's like governance, for example, only has one person. I think we would like at minimum, very minimum 2, but likely 3 people in each committee. So we need to add some more people to governance. And PAC has a bajillion people. So there, if you're kind of on the fence about PAC, I would encourage you to think about looking at another committee that has lower interest. So I think the best way to do this is to go person by person and have you confirm which ones you're definitely interested in, and then we'll use this when we get to the final voting. How does that sound to people?
Can I make a suggestion, Jamie?
Yes, please do it.
I'd recommend going through each committee rather than each individual,
sure.
And then just call out maybe the names of folks who express interest. And I got these numbers from either email, folks shared interest with me directly, or at the orientation. So if we got it incorrect, no worries, you can still change which committee you want to sign up for. So yeah, I suggest going through each committee and just listing off the names and then asking for changes.
Love it. Okay, so for the COC ESG committee, and this is a time where if you've changed your mind and you don't want to be on it, this is the time to say, no thanks, and that's fine. We'll just take the one off your name. So Iman Novin, are you still interested in this?
Yes, I am.
Okay, great. Joe?
May I just make a process suggestion? Why don't we just read the names and say, are there any changes or additions to the COC committee?
Perfect. I just want to make sure everybody can see them. So for COC ESG committee, are there any changes? Hearing none. Okay.
Jamie, this is Lene.
Hey.
Sorry, I didn't realize both of the ones that I committed to are monthly, and I would love to do them, but I feel like right this moment, I don't think I can commit to both that are monthly.
Okay.
Is there any way I could select whichever one you guys need more participation in?
Yes. So governance is one that we definitely need participation in, and it's not going to be monthly. It's basically going to be a couple meetings and then decisions will get made. So I would recommend governance for you.
Okay.
Do you feel good about that? And
yeah.
then do you want us to take you off both HMIS and PATH?
How about just PATH for now? I'll stay on HMIS just because of all this build with ECM and stuff I want to kind of stay into. Thanks.
Sure. And Juno, I see your hand up.
Hi, it was a bit of an accident. Yeah, sorry about that.
Are you okay?
Yeah, I'm all good. Just outside, so I couldn't hear clearly. I thought you were asking for me, but yeah, sorry about that.
So you're good. We'll ask you in a minute. Kiva, I see your hand up.
Hi, yeah, I originally expressed interest in Oversight and PATH, but I'd like to, because they're both monthly, I'd like to change from Oversight to possibly the COC ESG.
Okay, and Oversight is actually quarterly. So generally it's going to be quarterly. And Mark, remind me the frequency of COC ESG. That's ad hoc.
Yeah, it's ad hoc. I think when they start meeting, it wouldn't be any more frequent than every 2 or 3 weeks.
For maybe a couple months.
Yeah, I think last year there was 3 or 4 meetings. I don't anticipate it'll be more than 4 or 5 meetings this year.
Given that, Kiva, you feel good being on the COC ESG and PATH?
Yes.
Okay, great.
Thank you.
Sure. Okay, any other changes for COC ESG committee? Nope. Okay, governance, we have Joe and Lene. Is there anybody else that's interested in governance or has any other changes you want to make? Juno? You're interested in that one?
I'd love to
I'd love to list for that one. Yeah.
Yay. It's a good one. Okay.
Thank
you. And yeah, anybody else interested in governance?
This is Deanne. I have a question. Is that ad hoc? So my recollection is this meets maybe like twice a year just to review bylaws and things like that, correct?
Correct. Yep.
You can put me on that one as well.
Okay. Thanks, Dan. Good. All right, governance. Any other changes? Oh, I see Maureen.
Yes, so I'm willing to come off path, but I don't know where else I would best go because I don't know how much knowledge you have to have on the homeless services side to move to some of these.
Yeah.
So what's appealing to me is a committee that doesn't meet very often. So quarterly sounds good, or even the COC if it's just like, you know, in a clump and there's a lot of meetings. But like governance seems to need people, but you know my knowledge. And so my question is like, would I just be a fish out of water and not helpful to the committee?
Great question. Are there any committee members that have been doing this work before that want to speak to that? And the other thing I'll add as part of my role is to really provide support. So I am available as a private tutor to anybody, existing committee council member or new people, to help get you up to speed. That's part of my role. And this is like, you're not expected to know everything.
Okay,
And
sorry, I was gonna say, I'm happy to move over to governance. It seems like that's the committee that needs the most people.
I was just going to comment on HMIS. So I don't actually use that service, but going to that meeting has blown my mind. I know nothing about it. I ask so many questions, but I think it's still helpful, even if we feel like a fish out of water.
I appreciate that. And Joe, I think that really speaks to the fact that HMIS in particular, this is all about our data, and the data is what we use to make decisions. And there are opportunities to think about equity and lots of things in this data piece. So even if you, as you said, feel like you don't know anything, there are ways to bring your thinking maybe in a different level to some of this, even if you don't totally get the content. Okay, so governance, now we have 5. HMIS, so right now, are there any changes to HMIS? It's Gabriel, Iman, Joe, Lene, and Tony.
I'm good staying on that one as well.
Great. Okay, Iman's going to stay there. Any other changes? Juno, I see you in meeting. Oh, go ahead.
Sorry, my background noise is making it hard to hear everybody. I don't mean to interrupt.
You're good.
I'm interested in HMIS. I'm worried about overcommitting.
Yeah.
And so remind me, HMIS is one of the ad hoc committees or not?
No, it's monthly.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think for now I'm interested. So I think put me down for that, and I can always, and we can talk later if it's a bit too heavy load.
Totally. If people need to drop, they need to drop. Okay. Going once, going twice, HMIS roster. Okay, oversight. Right now we have Alejandra, Angela, Deanne, Gabriel, Joe, Juno, Leslie, Misaki, Sean, Terry, and Wayne. Anybody that wants to change to or from that committee? Okay, great. So that looks good to me. Tony, are you unmuting?
No, I'm good. Thank you. Sorry.
Oh, good. Sorry, you lit up. So, okay. And then path, we have Deanne, Joe, Juno, Kiva, Margaret, Pat, Sean, Terry, Tony, and Wayne. And that's a monthly one. Any changes to that one?
Pat has his hand up. I'm not sure if you see that.
Oh, nope, I didn't. Sorry, thanks. Go ahead, Pat. Thanks, Joe.
I didn't want to change from path. I wanted to be added to oversight if possible. I don't know if this was the time for that. Also, Mark, could you add an S to my name?
Oh yeah, him.
Thank you.
Apologies, Pat.
Hey, no worries.
Okay. That looks great. So we have, so Pat, you're now on oversight and path, or do you want to switch from take off path?
No, I'd like to stay with path as
Keep
well.
both. Great. Okay.
Yes.
This looks beautiful. So let's see, is there anybody that hasn't signed up for anything? Nope. I think everybody signed up for at least one. This is excellent. Okay. So Alejandra has to go to her next meeting soon. Good to know. Okay, so let's do a vote to approve this. Thank you. Oh, and so for the folks that were absent, we got confirmation that they were interested in those committees, so we feel okay voting them into those committees. If they change their minds later, that's fine, but they've said that they are interested in that. Okay, so let's do a roll call vote to approve this roster for committees. So I'm going to go down. Iman. Oh no, sorry.
Approved.
Hold on. Sorry. Do I have a motion?
Yes, you have a motion.
Pat Mims has a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second Terry.
Terry seconds. I feel like an auctioneer. Okay. Iman.
I vote to approve.
Margaret.
Yay.
Terry.
Hey, yep.
Leslie.
Yay.
Joe.
Yay.
Alejandra.
Aye.
Gabriel.
Aye.
Angela.
Yay.
Wayne. Oh, I see you. Okay. Wayne. Lene.
Aye.
Deanne.
Aye.
Tony.
Aye.
Sean.
Aye.
Pat.
Aye.
Maureen.
Aye.
And Juno.
Aye.
Yay, the motion passes. Woo! All right, let's go back to the slides real quick for the chair and co-chair conversation. And this is an important one because we need to have a chair and co-chair for our council. So this is, so I think Tanya, this will be you just pulling those slides back up. Thank you, thank you. Keep going back. Just a quick reminder what the chair and co-chair do. If you can keep going back, if it'll let you. Go back the whole one more section. Yep, keep going, keep going, keep going. One more. Okay. So just a quick note about what the chair does and what the vice chair does. So the chair provides general oversight for the council and presides over council meetings. So that was what Linda used to do. You're usually the facilitator of these meetings. So like all that talking I did today, that would be you, with a lot of support from me and Home Base. Participating in a monthly agenda planning call with us, and then representing the council in community-facing efforts. So that's, you know, there's usually a letter that goes on our quarterly reports, and there's, when we present those quarterly reports to the Family and Human Services Committee, the chair is usually, with a lot of prep work from us, is sort of the person that's delivering that report. So it's a lot of sort of public-facing with a lot of support. And then the co-chair, if you can go to that, the next slide. Co-chairs are really participating a lot in committees, or vice chair, sorry. Vice chair is providing oversight for committees. So right now our bylaws say that they're participating in all the committees, also participating in that monthly agenda planning call, and then basically steps into the chair role for public stuff or meeting facilitation if the chair or vice chair is absent. Are there questions about these roles? Oh, One thing is right now our bylaws say the terms are 2 years, but it kind of doesn't make sense that way because of the way people's chairs are, like the way their terms are staggered. So I say that all to say, let's assume for right now it's going to be a year term, that the bylaws may change to make that happen. But so it's at least a year commitment, let's put it that way. Any questions about those roles? Okay, let's go to the next slide. So now is the opportunity where you can throw your magic hat in the ring. If you're interested in volunteering to be chair or vice chair, now's a good time to do that. And then we can talk about it and then we'll vote on it. I see Joe giggling back there.
You see my hat? I threw a hat in the ring.
Oh, you threw a hat
I literally
in the
have
ring.
a hat on my screen. Like,
oh, that's
here's my
amazing.
hat.
All right, what are you throwing your hat in the ring for?
Definitely vice chair. I want to be committees. I'm so excited about committees right now. Vice chair. There's my hat.
Joe's throwing her hat in the ring for vice chair. Is there anybody else that's interested in throwing their hat in the ring for vice chair? Oh, and I see Juno, you unmuted. Are you throwing your hat in the ring?
Yes, but I would like to throw my hat in the ring for the chair position.
Right on. Excellent. Are there other folks that are wanting to discuss these roles more or interested in throwing your hat in the ring? Oh, do our bylaws provide, for instance, a role in sharing a role, for instance, are you thinking like co-chairs, like 3 people? They do not right now. It's just chair and vice chair. Like that, they're 2 separate and they have like slightly different roles, the way the bylaws are written now. The governance committee may change all that. Mark's nodding. There's a lot of opportunity for change in stuff like this.
Can I ask about that question about the bylaws providing the co-chairs? Like, what would happen if both the chair and the co-chair were unavailable? Like, say, for instance, that may happen. So then what would be the plan B, I guess, or C?
It's a good question. So the only times when that would like become an issue is if there is like a public presentation, like for example, we're presenting to the Board of Supervisors or Family or Human Services, then we might just do like a call out to the council to say, does anybody want to do this presentation? The other instance, like the only other times where it really comes up where it matters that somebody's available is for like approving their signature on like a letter or a report. And that's we usually have like an electronic signature. And so we're just doing this over email anyway. So it could be, you know, if you become chair, like, or if Juno becomes vice chair, I can't get in touch with them, then maybe I would come to you and say, hey, Joe, can you sign this? Can we use your signature as vice chair? It's just like the official designee of the council it's usually for something like a report or a letter. That's not like committing to money or anything like that. It's usually less scary than that. Does that answer your question? Did I see? Oh, that Leslie said that would be one example. Yes. Oh, Leslie, are you asking if there could be 2 co-chairs and a vice chair? Yes. And so for council meeting facilitation, like staff would then facilitate the meeting usually. So it would be me or home base if we needed to in a pinch. Unless the bylaws committee, governance committee changes things and we add a different kind of leadership structure. So for right now, like, I guess I'd be Secretary of State. I don't know. Or, you know, home base, like we could just step in as staff if there needs to be some sort of something. Does that answer that question? So for right now, the structure that we're working under with our bylaws as they are is there's a chair and a vice chair. So that could change if the council decides to, and we would probably have that take effect like, you know, the next calendar year if there were changes to that. Yeah. Other questions or discussion? Are people ready to take a vote on this? Yay, I see Alejandra. Okay, so let's move to the voting page. And for new members, you'll get a year to kind of like see the ropes and see what it looks like. And maybe you'll consider next time there's an election.
And do I get a vote, even though I do my own hat in there? I do get to vote on that hat or no?
That's a really good question. So I think Mark, yeah, I think so. Mark, I'm just looking. Yeah, we feel good about that. Yeah. Okay, great.
President gets to vote for himself or herself, right?
I think so. I'm all for that in life and here. Okay, do I have a motion to make Juno chair and Joe vice chair?
This is Deanne. I make that motion.
Excellent. Do we have a second?
Oh, I was going to say I'll second that.
Alejandra, you poor froggy thing. Okay, we have a second from Alejandra. Can I just say how excited I am to have folks with lived experience who are showing super commitment? Anyway, sorry, I'm not being neutral. Okay, we have a second. So let me go through the roll call. Iman.
I vote to approve and very excited.
Okay. Margaret.
Yay.
Yay. Terry.
Yay.
Leslie.
Also an enthusiastic yay.
Joe.
Yay.
Yay. Alejandra.
Yay.
I think we should change our official vote to yay. Like, yay. Gabriel.
Yay.
Alejandra, Angela.
Yay.
Wayne.
Yay.
Lene.
Yay.
Deanne.
Yay.
Tony.
Yay with gratitude.
Sean.
Yay.
Pat.
Yay.
Maureen.
Aye.
Juno.
Yay.
Excellent. So I think I can reflect the experience of people that have been on this council for a long time. Usually this process is like pulling teeth. And I'm really excited to have you two both enthusiastically volunteer for this. So congratulations, approved. We have a chair and a vice chair. Woohoo! Excellent. All right, Alejandra has to jump, no problem. So we're close to done. So if you can go to whatever is after these two sections, I want to say it's announcements. Awesome. So next slide, and this is actually going to be Michael. Michael Fisher, are you still here?
I'm here. Hi,
Awesome.
everyone. Michael Fisher, Health Services Administrator with H3. With a brief update on Delta Landing. As you know, Delta Landing is our 172 room facility in East County and currently unoccupied. We have final inspections scheduled for next week, and if all goes well, then we will schedule some repopulation dates in early February. Fingers crossed. That's all I have.
Okay, excellent. And I just wanted to note, we held a sort of official grand opening. Honestly, the time is, I think it was in December. It's all a blur to me. But that picture on the right is, you can see we had, everybody was masked and we were all outside, but we had a representative from the governor's office. We had some media there to celebrate the grand opening. So there's going to be a wellness center. So there's on-site. And Lene, I don't know if you're still here. If you want to talk at all about what the wellness center is going to kind of have or do.
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay.
I can briefly say our wellness center will operate very similar to our respite clinic that is in our Concord shelter side of the respite side of that facility, but we will have a provider room a nursing room, and 2 behavioral health rooms. One will be a behavioral health room for our healthcare for the homeless staff that will be operating during clinic time. And then we will have another behavioral health room that's outside of the wellness center for any outside behavioral health providers, such as AOD counselors, other behavioral health providers that may be providing services for any of the clients on site. All of this medical services will include our normal clinic operations. So basic screenings, treatments, wound care, any referrals to other sources, medication reconciliations, and ultrasounds, all those kind of things that we're currently providing, point of care tests, vaccines, all of those different types of things. We will, once all the clients get back to that site, we also will be bringing our dental van to the site so that we can offer dental services at least once a week.
Thank you, Lene. And Michael, if you're still here, there's a question about if it houses families or singles, and wanted to reiterate, this is shelter for folks that are kind of on their way towards housing.
Correct. And it's for multi-generational families, but no minors. So it's all adults. We can house couples, multi-generational families, etc. And it is like shelter. So there's a housing component attached. So it's a fast model, getting individuals into the facility with the idea that we're exiting them out to housing as quickly as possible.
Thank you. Yes, it holds singles and adults. And I see Leslie has a question, and then Brittany has another question.
Well, I'm super excited that we have this resource. This is really so great. And can someone say a little bit more about how it's going to be determined who is sheltered here?
Good question. So the referral source will be the core homeless mobile outreach team. So people, core, when they're out doing their regular assessments, will be assessing people for placement, primarily in the East County area, but obviously people from other parts of the county may be joining that site. So core is going to be using the vulnerability assessments. And so people going with the most vulnerable people will go into placement first.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Michael. And so that great is my Council on Homelessness hat. Now, as a provider who looks in the faces every day of people who might want to access this, when and how can we suggest that they start queuing up?
Well, I wouldn't start queuing them up yet, just because we don't have a for sure opening date. But the minute that we get an opening date and we start the repopulation for the site, you can start queuing people up for calling core and getting assessed for placement.
Thank you.
Yeah, and wanted to add, it'll be like all of basically the same process as the other county shelters, where people will go through core. It will be the most vulnerable as rooms are available. And Michael, we have a number of people that are already had been on site, moved off site while construction was happening, and are already going back in.
That's correct.
And how many you probably know, how many beds are there?
There's 172 rooms at the facility. So we currently have 85 rooms at one site and an additional 51 rooms at another site that have to move back to Delta Landing, plus people that have been put on hold at other shelters pending placement. So as soon as we do the repopulation, which I expect will be about 3 days long, then we'll know the availability of rooms from that point forward.
And it will probably be low, like all of our other county shelters. It's like our other county shelters where there's food being provided through a contracted provider. So it really is like a shelter, but with individual rooms. But in most other respects, it's fairly similar, where there's on-site staff. Sometimes people are sharing rooms. Is that correct, Michael?
That's correct.
Other questions? Oh, so one other question that came up, what are we doing for the families with children? And Michael, I don't know if you want to answer that or you want me to answer it, either way.
I mean, currently we have the Marriott Hotel is where we have families with children that are being placed. But we don't have any, if you wanted to go ahead and answer that.
Yeah, I mean, the other thing I'll say is we do have family shelters in our system of care. So we have you know, a couple of existing family shelters that aren't hotel programs, but Shelter Inc., for example, has Mountain View. I'm blanking on the other one. GRIP Family Shelter, Bay Area Rescue Mission takes families with children. So we do have existing family shelters that are accepting families, to my knowledge, right? They're still accepting people. Does that help answer your question, Brittany? Yes, great. Yeah, Juno, go ahead.
I was wondering as well for youth who may be interested in seeking shelter at this site that are not a part of a family. I know that we have also have youth shelters in the county, but they have quite few spots. So I was wanting to know if there's any information about that.
Oh, good question. Yeah. So for unaccompanied minors, we can't take unaccompanied minors in any of our shelters. So that means people under 18 that are not connected with an adult. But Michael, if somebody met the criteria, transition age youth could be in one of these spots, correct?
Correct. Yep.
Perfect.
That answers your question? Great.
Yes, thank you so much.
Yeah, these are really, really good questions. And I know it's a little like, yay, it's open, but it's not quite open, but wanted to highlight because people may have heard that we'd had this grand opening and happens with every single construction project ever on the planet Earth. Something gets delayed. So it's just taking a little longer to finish those last few things. Are there any other questions about this or announcements that anybody wants to make, both like about your agency, any kinds of partners that you're seeking for the work you're doing? Leslie, go for it.
Yes, so I just wanted to make sure everybody in the community knows that we are operating our winter overnight shelter. We operate it out of the Armory, and there is still space availability. Now, the eligibility is rather strict due to our agreements with the Armory and with the city of Walnut Creek, but we do want to shelter as many people as we can this winter. And the modality is that people arrive at Trinity Center, have dinner at Trinity Center, are transported over to the Armory, where everybody sleeps in individual tents with mats and bedding. And then it's taken down in the morning and people return to Trinity Center for our day services. So it's not everybody's cup of tea, but it is a safe, warm, dry place to be, part of a community of people who are supporting each other. So to get into it, you either are already sort of known to us at Trinity Center and apply, or most importantly, you can go through coordinated entry. So if you know someone who might be interested in our shelter, they can connect with CORE, they can connect with coordinated entry, they can contact us directly. The application process can take about 2 weeks because of all the different steps that have to be taken, including we're requiring COVID vaccine, flu vaccine, TB testing, and our Walnut Creek Police Department does a quickie warrant check. So to go through all that takes a while. It's not on-demand shelter. But we have availability. So we wanted to make sure the entire community knows that and spreads the word.
Thank you, Leslie. Wayne, I see your hand up.
I just wanted to bring up Bay Area Rescue Mission is currently at the very end of construction and inspection of a brand new facility. Our Bridge of Hope Center for Women and Children is 108 new beds for women and for women with children on our campus in Richmond. We're looking to open this probably end of February, beginning of March. We have a whole bunch of furniture to move over there once we have a certificate of occupancy. But it's coming and it's almost done. It's 108 new beds in addition to what we're already providing with our shelter and our program. So thank you.
And I wanted to highlight, there's some questions happening in the chat that I wanted to highlight. So there was a question, are all the shelters closed? Are all the shelters open? And it sounds like generally shelters are open, but there are some that may be in outbreak status that are having a hold on admitting new people until that gets resolved. So it's not that they're all closed and everybody's not in the building. They're just restrictions for some of the shelters because of COVID and what's, just trying to control an outbreak. CORE, so calling 211 and connecting with CORE is generally sort of your best way to connect. They will know kind of the status, usually of which shelters are accepting new people. Please share your resources for us at Shepherd's Gate. Thank you. So Tracy, can you say more? You're looking for resources, or you want to share resources out?
Well, what I was thinking was actually be able to share resources for those that don't meet the criteria for our program.
Absolutely, and I'm happy to talk with you a little bit more. And I'm going to put my email in the chat. Sorry, I'm trying to do like 3 things at the same time. So my email's in the chat, and anybody on this call is welcome to reach out to me. If I don't have the right information, I will get you the right information or the person with that. So Tracy, definitely shoot me an email. Other announcements that anybody has they want to make? Okay, let's move to pin it. So January is here. Kind of was loving December where we just kept canceling meetings. That was really nice. We're in January. So this is just a snapshot of what's coming up for like the next month. So you will be getting emails about these, but also just a reminder, if you cannot figure out what the heck and which meeting you're supposed to be at, you can go on our Google Calendar where we're trying to put all our meetings with the links if they're publicly available. If you can't remember or you didn't get the link, you can always email me directly. But you should be getting notices about these. If you have signed up to get notices about them or you're on the committees, you should be getting those notices. If you want to get those notices, I'm going to drop, we have a database, like a mailing list with different options. So you can pick. So one thing I know last year council members said they did not want to get notices of every single committee meeting that was happening. Now you see why. So you can select which things you want to know about so that the meetings that you're interested in will come into your mailbox. Ooh, I see an important question in the chat. Can families on Calworks directly contact Calworks Housing Support Program? And if so, what is the process? I don't have the answer to that. Jenny, are you still here? Or somebody else from our team that knows? Kiva, you know what? Let's take it offline and I will get you connected in with the right person.
I can just say, this is Deanne.
Yeah.
They have to be referred by their Calworks person. So they cannot call the provider directly. They have to work through their EHSD contact.
Got it.
I will add to that. The core outreach team is actually screening people for eligibility, and then they can send those referrals into EHSD approval. So that's another avenue.
Great. Okay, so these are all the meetings coming up. So it looks like we're going to see a lot of you, a lot, in the next couple of weeks. We ended a little early. I'm happy to hang on the line a bit if people have other questions. But I think we got a lot done today. We have committees, we have chair and vice chair. I'm super excited. Oh yeah, I love my job. Please, this doesn't work. I love it. And thank you to Home Base. Can I just say thank you to Home Base? I'm a team of 3 now, like me. I should have 2 other people on my team, and Home Base saves my life on a daily basis. They're doing a really, really great job supporting you guys, supporting all the work we're doing, supporting me. So, and I'm really excited about this new council configuration. Fun to have fresh blood and people that are excited and enthusiastic. And I'm really happy to have enthusiastic chair and co-chair. That there's going to be great learning opportunities. I'm enjoying this. This year is going to be good despite COVID. All right. You are liberated.
Joe had her hands up.
Oh, yeah. Joe, did you have your hands up or are you clapping? Who's clapping? Excellent. Stop it. You guys are awesome. All right. Thanks, everybody. Be free. Enjoy your 10 minutes and please take a break before your next meeting. Get off your computer, go look out a window, like stare at the wall. Seriously, this time is a lot.
I'm gonna
Really.
go tend to my garden.
Yes, I'm like, this is an
For 10
order.
minutes.
I don't care. I don't have any authority of you, but like, please go take a break.
Thanks, everyone. See some of you in 10 minutes.
Okay, yeah, exactly. Okay, bye.